Hello again everyone, and welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. You are looking at a machine you've been looking at quite a lot if you've been following my videos. And I wanted to make a video today on a couple of just very, they're little details, but they actually matter. I now am ready to put the lid back on the machine. And again, I have shown in videos places that you apply penetrant oils or other methods to loosen stuck parts, and then again, because I woke the machine up, I have been waking it up, basically I have been adding sewing machine oil directly to the moving parts, and I typically put more than one drop, 2 drops, sometimes 3, but only when the machine has been sitting and has not been used for many years, and when it's a very stiff machine. Once I put this lid back on and secure it, I won't have to do that anymore. I'll basically the machine will be ready for its new owner, and when they go to oil it, which is part of normal maintenance for a sewing machine that's being used, they will simply go in each of the holes here, and they'll put 1 drop. In fact, let me show those holes to you while we've got the machine. And I'll show you that sort of an aerial view. So again, normal oiling of the sewing machine, you only need 1 drop. This is after the machine is up and running. And again, I tried to always explain the difference between, for example, adding lubrication to machines when I'm trying to get them brought back in the restoration process versus just normal routine oiling. So this is routine oiling. You simply will go, you will put a drop here, 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 and then here and here. The reason you didn't see me add oil to these larger areas is because those don't get oil. Those are actually for these. These are the bolts that attach they want to go rolling. Stay put. These are the bolts that are going to be used to attach the lid back onto the machine. Now, some of you, this may be not news to you, but those of you who are new, I just wanted to show this to you. And while we're at it, what you will notice in vintage machines is that sometimes you have all sorts of bolts and attachments on a machine. Sometimes they have the same gauge or the width, say, of the threading pattern of the bolt. However, sometimes that gauge can be different, and then sometimes the length is different. So let's say it's your first time putting the bolts back in. You took them off, you took the lid off of the machine, but you didn't really pay attention to when you took them off that they were even different. And now you're going to put them back and like, oh wait a minute, these are not the same length, because they're not. Now you've only got 2, so one goes one place, one goes the other. So if for some reason you were to try this this long bolt up front, well, it's not going to go all the way, and the little short one, you can turn it all you want, it's just going to spin because it's not long enough. Sometimes you just have to use trial and error. In this case, what has happened, they have different lengths because of the amount of space that they need to travel. I don't know why they were engineered that way, but in any case, I used my magnet to pull the bolt out and almost lost my little plastic. These are little round pieces of plastic that are used, and they're not. The plastic here, you might think, well, that's a washer. It's really there, I think, more to protect the paint on the lid where the opening is for the bolts. So again, this is not a high stress piece here. So I'm going to put, and you guessed right, the long bolt fits in this hole once it is aligned properly. And then the short one goes up toward the left side of the machine. Now, as with any bolt, make sure that you, whenever you start turning bolts, this is just, kind of standard procedure for any bolt, but sewing machines surely. When you start turning it, notice if it turns smoothly. If it does, it's threading properly. I'm just going to turn it, and it just got snugged up right there. I'll just I can try to even out my little plastic piece here. Again, this is really almost like a little shim that's protecting that lovely paint. As soon as it snugs up, I stop. You don't need to torque it down really tight. It's not going anywhere. And we'll do the same for the other bolt. If I start turning this bolt and I get resistance and it's not turning smoothly, that's the time to stop. The machine is saying, don't do that. Your bolt is not threaded properly and you can cross thread them. And that's not a good thing for you or the machine. So I've just snugged this one down. And again, these bolts are really strong. I mean, I can pull that, what I call the hatch, the opening for where the cams go, and that lid did not move anywhere. All right, what else do we want to look at in terms of just basic getting your machine ready? Let's come down. We'll actually change the angle here for the camera. And on this machine, it is mercifully easy to change. One of the simplest things you will do is to change your bobbin tire. Make sure that your hands are clean, don't have any oil residue on them. I don't. And this is the old tire. Now, when you pull this off, the tire has it stretches on like with rubber, and I think this one was originally either white or light blue. In any case, it's tired and needs to come off. So we'll pull. Notice I'm holding on. Hold on to this, by the way, for those of you just tuning in, this is a lever that goes up to disengage your drive shaft so you can wind a bobbin. So we don't want to overly stress this. So kind of grasp it with your hand, because when you pull this tire off, you don't want to overstress this piece, and the tire has served it well. And you can know, I've talked to all of you before. Occasionally you get an old machine where the rubber is not dry rotted, but this one clearly is. And when I stretch it, you can see the cracks here, and it's lost its ability to have a nice grip, a nice squeegee-like grip on the hand wheel. So in order to get ready to put on our new tire, I don't have a white or a blue one, but I have a black one that will fit wonderfully. So I want to make sure that my this surface here, the hub, is clean. Now there shouldn't be any oil because the tire has been sort of, shall we say, covering over that space as I've been going through. And basically I have some cotton swabs and I have some of my 99% isopropyl alcohol, and I'm basically going to come here and just slowly turn the shaft of the bobbin winder, and I can just turn it away from me. And what am I doing? I'm basically using this alcohol to clean any of this basically old rubber. I don't think there's any real dirt. There wasn't really room for dirt or oil to get in there, but keep in mind, if you saw the earlier videos where I was trying to wake up the bobbin winder, and again, you normally only need to put oil where this little hole is. That's normal oiling. But I put some here and even over here next to the rim, and I had done that because sometimes those parts are stuck. They're sticking because oil has sort of gummed them up. So again, if your machine is running fine, make sure that you don't necessarily have to oil everything that you have seen me apply oil to. It just depends on whether your machine is really sleepy or frozen or stuck or slow, or if it's just needing its normal oiling. Okay, so that isopropyl alcohol, because I use the 99%, it's going to dry or flash off very quickly. So while that's happening, there's something else that we can use a little alcohol for. Remember that your bobbin winder tire, the one we're about to replace, is going to be rotating on your hand wheel. Now the hand wheel is either chrome plated or nickel plated. I believe it may be actually chrome plated. So what I'm going to do is you can use a clean rag, right? In this case, I just have a small paper towel, and I'm basically, I've been handling this hand wheel. I've been taking it off and on and showing it in terms of how to set up the the clutch assembly for the bobbin winder. So what I'm going to do now is, again, your hands need to be clean when you do this. Just rotate, or actually you don't have to rotate because you can just actually come around. Just go around in a circle and let the alcohol will remove. You don't necessarily don't touch the paint. You don't need to do that, but just come around, and that alcohol is going to remove any sewing machine oil or grease and oil from your hands, and it's going to be nice and squeaky clean for the new bobbin tire. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my tire on, and again, you want to hold, give some support to this lever. The lever is very strong, but I want to go ahead and just kind of hold it because I'm stretching that tire over there, and there it goes. Got a happy new tire. Now, you'll notice that, and I can show you that the needle bar is not moving. I think in an earlier video, you sometimes will see it hop or wiggle a little bit. That can happen, but as long as it's not moving up and down at its normal rotation for sewing, you should be okay. But watch it. Now look at that. Look how well the tire spins on that clean hand wheel, and it should be ready to go for when it's going to be winding bobbins. Now let's see here. Basically what I've shown you, these are some of the last things I do because they're some of the simplest. And again, when you're looking at a machine and you're thinking, okay, you try to think of the order that you're doing these things in. And basically, I like to start from the top down. I will be giving the body a simple cleaning before I'm done, but that's the gravy, right? That's the easier stuff. And I usually save that for last because I like to get the things that are really challenging the machine initially, and making sure that everything is ready to move and functional. And so anyway, I will show, I try to remember these days to show other things. So I'll be doing another little video on threading the machine, installing a new needle, because you may remember that this machine had a broken needle, and then I'll be testing to make sure that everything's going to line up. We don't want to hit the gas and start sewing before we know that we don't know why that needle broke, and hopefully it was just a stressed needle and it didn't really damage anything. These machines are heavy and robust, but again, you want to be extra careful. So that is basically a quick and easy way to talk about these things, because even though I have been working on these machines for quite a few years, I always try to remember, some of you are looking at a vintage machine for the first time, or maybe you're looking at the white sewing machine series from the early 60s for the first time. So I try not to be presumptuous about what you've seen or not seen. So for some of you, it will be a refresher, and for others, you're seeing it for the first time. But I'm happy to report that if you look at the down here where the needle bar is, and I can now, when I move my needle bar, well, actually, you can't, let's bring it down so you can see it better. There we go. So I can now, my needle position bar is moving nice. You will feel some resistance here because it's designed to have some, but it is now nice and smooth. It's not fussing. And again, if you watch the needle bar, watch when I move this. This is basically, I haven't locked in the zigzag, but you can see how the bar is moving. It's happy to move. It's not fighting me. It's not saying, hey, I'm still asleep. I believe these parts at least are woken up. So again, it's a methodical process. You just go one area of the machine after the other. You don't have to get it all done the same day, the same week. You go at your own pace. And I think an overall philosophy I have, and I do this even though I've been working on these machines for a long time, I still basically don't get in a hurry, don't rush, and you're a lot more likely to get success when you do not try to rush things. So that is basically setting the new bobbin tire and getting the lid on properly. And for those of you who are looking, saying, oh, how do I do this? Even things like bolts can confuse people because they're like, hey, this bolt's not working, what's wrong? And sometimes it literally is that simple. And I think I've shown you all in some of the 70s Kenmores how not every bolt is always the same length or even the same width. Who knows why they did it, but there you go. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I will see all of you in the next video when I will again talk about threading the machine and then getting in a new needle. We're getting close, I promise. We're getting close to hopefully getting to test the stitching capability of this machine, and that will be the final test that I make before I list it as available to a new owner in the future. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.